Welcome to this latest video from DPP Planning. Last week the government published its white paper proposing a series of reforms to the planning system. Joining me to discuss the white paper, and in particular the first home concept contained in the proposals, is Mark Lane, Director and Head of Residential at DPP. Mark, hello.
Hello, Jamie.
Mark, firstly, can you give me your view on whether this white paper will do what the government wants, i.e. to encourage more house building?
I think, generally speaking, I think it will. I think it's quite a bold statement of the government's intent. Too many years, the government has set out targets of building 300,000 dwellings per annum. Yet last year, which was the highest number of dwellings they built for 30 years, they only built 241,000. And the local plan position throughout the country only allows for circa 187,000 dwellings to be built per year. So the government has, I think, taken a bold step to put out minimum national standards that will allow the local authorities little wiggle room other than to provide the land needed to build the houses and address the affordability issue.
Do you think local authorities will embrace or resist this, do you think?
Well, I mean, historically, local authorities up and down the country have done everything they possibly could to resist it. So, for example, a lot of the southern authorities, when the new standard methodology was due to come in, rushed their plans forward under the old system, so they'd have lower housing requirements, and authorities up north, which have, as a result of the standard methodology, the old standard methodology, they have had lower figures, and therefore they have reviewed their plans almost as soon as they've had them adopted, so they can get the housing requirement down. So local authorities won't embrace this, but the beauty of the new standard methodology is it's very clear, it's a very simple process, it's a very simple calculation, and it sets the figure that each local authority will have to provide land for. And then they will have to then distribute that number around the various sites that they might find within the district. So I think on whole, I think it is a bold manoeuvre by the government, and I think it will actually create land for house building.
One of the other areas that the government have been very vocal about that will be helped by the changes to these planning laws is SME house builders. How is it expected to help these house builders, and why is that good for the residential sector?
Well, let's first start off with why is it good for the residential sector. What happened in the last recession is a lot of SMEs went into administration due to the pressures of recession. And it was those house builders that build in that middle range. So it's not your jobbing house builder that might build one dwelling a year and a couple of extensions. And your volume house builders, they tend to build 70 houses plus on a site. What went broke? The companies that went into administration covered that middle area, the 10 plus dwellings up to 40 or 50 dwellings. They've simply not recovered. The industry's not come back. And that really means is that there's a lack of choice out there. You have a few very big house builders and the odd one house being built by this builder, but there's been a lack of parties building those medium-sized sites. They add design choices, generally speaking, in terms of housing appearance, housing types, and so on. So it benefits everyone greatly.
One of the other areas, I talked about it in the intro, was this first homes concept. Can you explain what that is, and then do you think this scheme will achieve its ambitions?
Yes. I mean, just go back one there and start that question possibly again, or rephrase that question. What the government has done is ploughed lots of money into Help to Buy properties. That's basically the government funding mortgage payments and guaranteeing them. Well, they're moving away from that to this first homes concept, which they are going to require to be delivered on sites as a proportion of the affordable housing provision, and it is to provide homes for first-time buyers. And as the the government's analysis proves most people, if asked, would much prefer to own their own home. And this first homes provides the opportunity for potential homeowners to get on the housing ladder at an affordable price. And I think because it's to be required via a proportion of the affordable housing contribution, these dwellings will be provided.
And where do you think these first home properties are likely to be? Is this a way to get more homes in existing urban areas like town centres, or is it more likely to be on the edges of existing locations?
I mean, it's likely to be everywhere, but in the main, it will be the larger housing allocations. So the sites of 50 to 500 units on the fringes of urban areas, which will have to provide at least 25% probably in terms of these new first homes as part of their affordable housing contribution, which in some areas is up to 50% of the total number of dwellings.
Thank you. So, in summary, do you think that these proposals for that are in the white paper go far enough to solving our housing requirements? And if not, what other planning things do you think should be done?
Well, there's certainly a step in the right direction, and hopefully it will stop the party politics at a local level, trying to drive down the housing numbers, because housing is seen to be a bad thing in lots of local authorities. And this certainly is a step in the right direction to try and address that by setting these figures nationally and requiring them to be a minimum figure that local authorities must deliver.
Mark, thank you very much. Obviously, we'll be watching the progress of this white paper very closely and commenting and providing expert insight into developments as they move forward. Thank you very much.